Welcome back. With a new part comes a new episode. Part 6, Episode 1, September 30th, 2022. Thank you, dear God. Thank you, my angels. Part 3, Episode 4 plays tonight at 8 p.m. I pray, as whomever it is that's listening, I pray one person, just one, may help, or more. But anyway, I did the recording, part 3, episode 5, scheduled for October 3rd, 2022 at 8 p.m. Susie always tells me in messages or conversations, "You are awesome." She shows me the numbers and they just keep climbing. People are listening. I tell her, "You are the one that has done this. I have just recorded the story, which, yeah, I know it's not easy, but you are the one working to set it all up. You are the one that's awesome." I told her, "You didn't, I didn't. We did this together." October 2nd, 2022. I'm so thankful God gave me this day. Thank you. Other than editing, I didn't do much more today except go to the cemetery. 2:50 p.m. I pull into the cemetery. I went back to visit Wyatt, looking over at Megan while passing her. I visited with both of them and I prayed to them, and of course I took pictures. When I returned home, I was able to relax until bedtime. Everyone have a good night. October 3rd, 2022. I did edit and record part 3, episode 6. Thank you for this day. October 4th, 2022. Thank you. I see today. I am working to redo part 3, episode 6. Too many fumbles in my words. I ended by telling where the people could find Emily's podcast, Tribute to All Little Angels, at. You can find it on Spotify, Amazon Music, Samsung Podcast, Podcast Index Audible, Listen Notes, RSS.com Community, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. And I appreciate you listening. Susie called. She said, "I am receiving messages, like a group of them." I said, "Oh, wow, really?" She said, "Yeah, let me look." I held on. She said, "A woman, beep, beep, is letting me know she likes part 2, episode 8. I said, "Really? Wow." Susie said, "Yeah, really. It's really cool." I said, "It really is. And Susie, thank you for all of this." She said, "You are welcome." And I like the positivity of the comments. And thank you for this day. October 5th, 2022. Grateful for this day. So thankful for my babies, my family, and friends. I did record, and to me, I seem to be getting better at the recordings, or I hope I am. We did make it to the cemetery today, 6:50 p.m. I pulled up to Wyatt, Zoe, Lily, Madison, and we visited with him. I prayed to him, and I asked him to watch over all of us. And thank you, Wyatt. I love you, my angel. A bit later, I pulled up to Megan. We visited with her, and I prayed to her and I asked her to watch over all of us. I took pictures, and not long after we left the cemetery. And thank you, Megan, and I love you, my angel. We arrived home safely, and thank God for this day. October 7th, 2022. A good morning. So grateful for that. I'm recording this afternoon, part 3, episode 7. I had quite a bit of fumbles with my words, so I had to start again. I did get it done. These days of recording and editing, it turns into late nights. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. Have a good night. October 8th, 2022. This morning I have good thoughts. I did edit, I did record part 3, episode 8. And with all this recording, I hope on some days I could take a break, and at times I can, and the days I can't, it really does kick my behind. Prayers appreciated, and thank you. October 9th, 2022. Thank you, dear God, for waking me up. I started my day, I edited, I recorded, I also made it to the cemetery. But first, I took Zoe and Lily to the store to pick out flowers for each of them, Megan and Wyatt. 1:51 p.m. I pulled in and I went back to visit Wyatt. We visited with him, and Zoe arranged Wyatt's flower into his vase on his headstone, and I took a couple pictures. Of course, I asked him to watch over us, and I asked him to help someone to help us, and I prayed to him. We sat with him for a little bit, and I pulled around to Megan, and I took pictures, of course. Lily arranged Megan's flowers by sticking them in the ground. Lily tried and tried and tried to get the flower out of the ground, a little purple and white flower, and she was struggling. She said, "Nana, Sissy's not letting it go." Zoe walked over and bent over and pulled it again really hard, and finally it came out. The girls put the new flowers in the ground, and it looks really pretty. I prayed to Megan. We visited with her. I'm keeping a close eye on the area now. You can never be too careful. 2:56 p.m. I found a heart-shaped rock stuck in the dirt as I'm walking towards the car. I told my angels I loved them, and I pulled out of the cemetery. We went home. And for me to edit and record, I have to keep getting it done. And thank you for this day. October 12th, 2022, 7:20 a.m. My phone dings as if I have a message. I didn't look at it that time, but after I got some things done, I messaged her back. It's Summer. She wrote, "How are you?" I wrote, "I'm sorry it was a late response. I had a busy morning. I'm good though. It could be better. I'm still putting the story on the podcast, wishing for help. How are you?" As my day started, I did edit for another month or two. I did get part 4, episode 1 done. 4:41 p.m. we went to the cemetery. Everything looks good in both areas. Since Shelby came and found the imprint of the plot marker in the grass, I have to now keep a closer eye on things. And by that happening, I know I am put here to tell this story by the grace of God. The force of the spirits at times telling me, showing me to do this, do that. And I think that too, that if I would have gone to the cemetery when I got the premonition to go, weeks before Shelby came, I may have found it. But it wasn't meant for me to find it. It was meant for Shelby to find it. And I thank her. My gratitude is for everyone who has helped in one way or another. October 13th, 2022. Thank you for this day. Not too bad of a morning or afternoon. And I'm thinking at times I may be coming back around to being me again. Not that I ever left, but my emotions took me over. And I thank God for this. 5:28 p.m. We did get a couple responses from 2 people in this state. They both sent messages, and I'm so very grateful for that. This day also, we changed the days of the podcast to air. Instead of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we will air Tuesday and Friday, same time, 8 p.m. The timeline written is coming to an end until daily entries are added between the time it ends and a time for the conclusion. And keep in mind, we need help with this. To get this resolved, let's make sure it doesn't happen to you, your loved one, or anyone else's loved one. Let's make this right for Megan, and the rest laid to rest there and anyone else. Do the right thing. And thank you for listening. The day has been relaxing. October 17th, 2022. Thank you, dear God. Today, or at least this morning, seems a little easier, and I went with it. I need to. 4:44 p.m., we went to the cemetery, and as I visit with Wyatt and Megan, I felt a premonition, a feeling, an intuition, whatever it is they send to me. Megan is telling me to compare the pictures from 1999 to 2022 of how the headstones are lined up in a row. And of course, I heard her, and I will check it out. I also have checked in pictures of when the headstone that was put in 2019 in an area of the headstones had already been moved. At first, seeing a stake in the ground to set in the headstone, you think it's a new burial, not a headstone that the deceased passed in 1992, 7 years before Megan. Now, if this headstone was set in due to it being missing and it was replaced, or the family is just now able to buy a headstone, my concern is the headstone in question, west of where Megan is laid to rest. There is not a headstone in the pictures from 1999, 2004, 2008. There's no headstone there then, and to be dated 1992. If the family is just now able to purchase the headstone, the city set the headstone in the wrong spot because the headstones in that same area had been moved by floodwater in 2015. Wow. And yes, you know I'm crying. October 18th, 2022. I spent most of my morning and afternoon editing Part 4, Episode 2. I did read, "Faith is my anchor in a sea of doubt. Ask in faith, never doubting. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, driven and tossed by the wind." James 1:6. Amen. Thank you, dear God. October 21st, 2022. Thankful again for seeing a new day. I've been trying to record, and I'm trying hard. I really do. The emotions of it all dredge up, and it is definitely tough at times to get through. October 27th, 2022. Thankful for this day. We did receive an email from Beep asking questions, and I am so happy to finally get some response. I did answer the questions. In fact, we received other messages, and you already know I'm so thankful. Thank you very much. And thank you, dear God. Thank you, my angels. October 28, 2022. Thank you. 12:35 p.m. we went to the cemetery. I pulled up to Wyatt. We visit with him, and I pray to him. I ask him to guide me, to show me what to do. I love you, Wyatt. I pulled around to see Megan, and of course I took pictures. Her flowers are still here, and I'm thankful for that too. I pray to her, and I ask her to watch over all of us. I told my angels I loved them, and I left the cemetery. Later this evening, 8:26 p.m., Susie and I were talking, and she brought up the identity bracelets. She said, "Something you are giving when you come into the world is again given to you when you leave the world." And yet again, thank you, Susie. Susie and I also worked on the web page. We did name it, thought of a domain name. She set it all up. We are now thinking of a pitch. We worked way into the early morning hours. October 30th, 2022. So thankful. I continue to record today, and I thank God and my angels too. Everyone have a good day and a good night. October 31st, 2022. This morning when I woke up, I thanked God. I recorded and finished it, Part 4, Episode 6, scheduled to air November 1st, 2022 at 8 p.m. 5:47 p.m. I went to the cemetery. When I have to come by myself, I usually have someone on the phone with me. And my brother John is on the phone with me this time. I visit with Wyatt, and of course I pray to him. I cried to him. and I told him I loved him and I pulled away. I went to see Megan and I prayed to her. I asked her for guidance and knowledge. I told her I loved her and I walked back to the car. I sat in the car with both of them and was still talking with my brother. A little bit later I pulled away, and I'm quiet, and so is John. I made it home safely and relaxed for a while. Everyone have a good night. November 1st, 2022. Part 4, Episode 6 airs this evening at 8 p.m. I'm so grateful for God opening my eyes. Wow, every day just seems to surprise me and allows me to grow with all of this. And I pray someone will help. I pray for someone. November 2nd, 2022. I talked with Susie today about how to end the story until a conclusion, and I thought of reading the main topics of events. Then something came to me to describe the pictures. Susie thought it was a good idea. I mentioned it to a few other people and they said, yes, that sounds like a good idea. So I may do that if there's not a way to add the pictures to the story. I would like to share them with all of you, but at times I think too, maybe I should keep the pictures to view privately for the one-on-ones. I'm just keeping it in my mind. And thank you for this day. November 5th, 2022. My mornings are noticeable now. They are getting easier for me, and I do thank God. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Wyatt. 1:53 p.m. I went to the cemetery. I had Carla on the phone with me, so I didn't have to go in by myself. And thank you, Carla. I pulled in and visited with Wyatt. I sat with him for a little bit and I prayed to him. I pray to all my angels. I walked back to the car and I pulled around to visit with Megan. Her flowers are still here, and of course I took pictures. I visited with her and I prayed to her, and of course I walked around to see if I noticed anything out of the ordinary, because I am feeling bad for not noticing the plot marker indents. So now Shelby has me looking ever so closely. And thank you again, Shelby. I left the cemetery and went home to get done with what needs to be done. November 6, 2022. Such a nice, quiet Sunday morning. And thank you, dear God. As I start my day, I did record. I recorded again and again. Well, and again. It took me more than a few tries. I guess it really does depend on the mood of the day and the emotions brought out in me. Sometimes I can be fine during the morning hours and or the afternoon hours and then start to record and it gets so emotional talking through it, telling the story. But I do it. November 7th, 2022. I knew when my eyes opened I needed to get out of the house. I could feel it, and I thank God, of course. Then at 1:12 p.m., I'm on my way to the cemetery. My brother John is on the phone with me. No one is here. Well, yes, there is. One other car. I visit with Wyatt, and I love you, Wyatt. I visit with Megan, and I took pictures, and I love you, Megan. I left the cemetery. The rest of the day I recorded, trying to stay ahead of the episodes. Have a good evening. I did remind family members and friends that if you call or message and I don't get back to you right away, I'm recording and I will get back to any one of you when I take a break or get done. And I do have to say, at times it could be really late getting done, and I have to call or message back the next morning. But I try to keep up with all of them. I love you all. November 8, 2022. Good morning, I feel. Another part, another episode scheduled for tonight at 8 p.m. It has some fumbles, but I keep hearing it sounds natural and the emotions are in it too. But the main thing is I keep recording. I keep telling the story. I did ask Susie if she listened to it and she replied yes, and it sounds good too. And thank you to all who are listening. November 9th, 2022. This morning I'm doing well. yet again, I will be editing and recording today. 12:43 p.m., editing part 5, episode 1. I quoted when I started this episode, with a new part comes a new episode. Stay tuned. It's so heartbreaking to think of the acknowledgement or the non-acknowledgement. Recording today, I noticed my throat sounds scratchy, so of course I started over. 2:53 p.m. I did break away and we went to the cemetery. I visited with both my angels. Megan's flowers are still here. I took pictures and I didn't stay long. I love you, my angels. November 10th, 2022. Thank you, dear God. I was thinking mentally and physically. I sit back to relax. Susie called to ask me to call her daughter Erica. She said Erica has information on how to write a bill. Susie sent Erica the link to the podcast. Susie said, we talked about how they may not be responsible to move the headstones back. I said, yes, I know. But at this point, it's not about moving the headstones back. It's about what they did out there after the fact to cover it up. Why did they go to extremes? Why did they feel they had to lie about cutting the tree down? Where'd the trench auger lines come from? Why'd they dump the water on the ground after they dug it up, the casket up? Why'd they cremate even after receiving emails to not to? Just so much runs through my mind. And I do have the proof to prove it. And thank you, dear God, for this day. November 11th, 2022. When I woke up this morning, I had thoughts of the questions running through my mind. Then I thought, even if it was Megan's casket and it shifted that far, which is very doubtful. I mean, I've heard of caskets rising out of the ground, but I don't think, going east, north, south, or west is more likely. But even if that was Megan's casket they dug up, they poured the water on the ground along with anything and everything about Megan. How does one fathom that is right for anyone to have their loved one dumped on the ground? How is that right? God watch over us. November 13th, 2022. Thank you. I did finish editing. I recorded also. There are a few fumbles, but as someone keeps reminding me, it sounds natural. November 15th, 2022. Editing and recording part 5, episode 2. Tonight's episode is a continuation of the prior episode. The days are long, but the writing is short. So much to write about in very little time. And I thank you for being patient. I thank you for listening. Excuse me. November 18th, 2022. The only thing I had time to do today besides edit and record was go to the cemetery. At 5:11 p.m., I visited with both my angels. I didn't stay long, but I got the purpose done, and thank God. I thank God for that. November 19th, 2022. This is a good day. My mornings and days seem to be good. But let's not talk about that. I did edit part 5, episode 4. I did work on editing the legal brief if I need to add in the events, times, and dates. Kind of like an update. 12:02 p.m. we made it to the cemetery. I visit with Wyatt, then with Megan. I took pictures. I checked things out and I got back in the car to leave. I love you, my angels, and thank you. Thank you, dear God. November 20th, 2022. Good morning and afternoon. Thank God. After recording 5:02 p.m., I went to the cemetery. I went back to visit Wyatt and I sat with him for a while, then around to visit with Megan. I sat with her for a little while and I checked things out. I took pictures and I prayed to both of them. And then I left the cemetery. And thank you, my angels. November 22nd, 2022. Another Good Morning. Part 5, Episode 4 airs tonight at 8 p.m. I'm leaving the hints and the clues, and soon we'll be told. God, help me to get through this. Bless someone to help. November 23rd, 2022. This morning seems to be a bit emotional. I'm not sure what is going on, except I am crying, feeling exhausted. Help. My phone rang. It's my great grandson. He told me, "Nah, I lost my tooth." He talked about Christmas and what his dad is getting him. Then he said, "We're coming to Nana's house for Thanksgiving." And I'm so happy he called to talk to me. He is definitely Na's boy. As the evening approached, his family, my granddaughter Samantha, decided to stay home for Thanksgiving. And Madison will be not here either for Thanksgiving. My son's family, Nicole's family, we will make the best of it. And thank you, Jose Jr. I love you. I adore you. It's been an awesome day. Today I'm also editing part 5, episode 5, scheduled to air November 25th, 2022 at 8 p.m. And God, thank you for this day. November 24th, 2022. Happy Thanksgiving. So much to be grateful for. Just waking up is the main thing. This morning I got started on preparing dinner. At 11:32 a.m., Nicole called. She wants to have dinner with us today, so I will pick her up. 12:16 p.m., I turned everything off on the stove, top of the stove, and went out the door after I had doused the turkey with more butter. I picked Nicole, Zoe, and Lily up. Kurt went with his parents until later. On my way back over to my house, I told Nicole, "We will go to the cemetery before everyone comes, because if I wait until later, it will get dark." Nicole agreed. We commenced on going, and as I'm driving up the highway, though, I get a feeling in the pit of my stomach to go home. I heard Megan tell me, "Go home, Nana. You can come see us tomorrow." I'm ignoring the feeling. I looked over at Nicole and said, "Maybe we should go home." I even had Nicole hold the wheel of the car while I looked up my house cameras. So she did, and I did, and everything looks okay. I even had Nicole look, and she didn't see anything either. So I felt it was okay to go on to the cemetery and then get home. And we did. And I'm happy we did. Mom and sister got to be there today with Megan and Wyatt. We left the cemetery not long after. I drove home to my house. When we got there, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, so we went ahead and went into the house. Zoe opened the garage into the kitchen door, and the house is smoky. Not too bad. Well, yeah, it kind of was. The smoke alarm went off after we opened the doors and the windows to let the air out. The turkey wasn't burnt, it was just the juice at the bottom of the oven. The turkey was delicious, but I should have listened to Megan and went home. And thank you, Megan Marie. I'm sorry again for dismissing the feeling and ignoring your soft voice. I felt though I had time to come and see you and Wyatt, and I felt I needed to. We are all good, and that's the main thing. We have a lot to be thankful for, and believe me, baby, I was hurrying trying to get home. And I know too not to ignore the feelings, the premonitions, your soft voice I hear. I know. I love you, my angels. Dinner was great. We all had a great day. And just a thought, you can't tell me she doesn't communicate with me. November 25th, 2022. Another day to be thankful for. At times when I'm done with an episode, I have to lay down and I cry. My chest gets tight. I ask myself, I have to tell people to tell different parts of the story at different times. To tell about the story, and just one may hear it and will help. And besides cleaning up from yesterday, I needed to recuperate today. And thank you, God. November 26, 2022. Thank you for this day. I finished editing the legal brief. I reread it. I also stopped editing part 5, episode 6, scheduled for November 29, 2022 at 8 p.m. And thank you for this day. November 27th, 2022. When I woke up this morning, all I thought about was going to the cemetery. And I did. 1:20 p.m. I went to the cemetery and I visited with Wyatt, then with Megan. I went home to try to get something done. When I finished, I'm not sure what was going on with me, but I felt an urge to go to the cemetery. 5:07 p.m. I went to the cemetery again. I just sat here and I'm taking it all in. I begin to cry and I start to pray. Then out of nowhere, my thoughts came out loud. Thank you, dear God. I sat there until I felt better and I left the cemetery. I did take a short drive before going home, and I did make it home safely. And thank you for this day. November 29th, 2022. Thank you. This afternoon I recorded and or edited. This evening Susie and I worked on the web page. Susie is doing a great job at all of this. And my gosh, I got lucky for her to help me. She already knows how grateful I am for her. And thanks, Susie. November 30th, 2022. I did get part 5, episode 7 done and scheduled for December 2nd, 2022 at 8 p.m. So much to be grateful for again today. And when I was done with the episode this time, I didn't go lay down. I called my sister Susie to tell her I'm so proud of myself. I did it in the first recording. December 1st, 2022. Yes, I recorded this morning to get it scheduled for December 6th, 2022. I did get it done. Part 5, episodes 8 p.m. December 2nd, 2022. God, thank you. Thank you, my angels. Today I cleaned up. I want to get my Christmas stuff out and start decorating. And I did that. I'm excited for Christmas this year for some reason. And thank you, God, for that. 1:22 p.m. I went to the cemetery. My brother John is on the phone with me. And thank you, John. I visited with my angels and I sat with each one of them for a little bit. I walked around to notice or not notice anything. Just me checking things out. I have to. I left the cemetery not long after, and on my way home I took a short drive before returning home. This day was a good day. December 5th, 2022. All I want to say is, I believe. Help my unbelief. When I sat down today to record, 7:11 p.m., I looked up and asked God to help the recording go easy so I can get it done. Because you know I don't feel like doing this. I don't want my body to hurt or I have to lay down and cry. I don't want to keep reliving it. Help it to be easy. I said thank you and I started to record. I got it on my first try again. Yes, a few fumbles with my words, but it's all right. And it is being heard. And thank you for listening. December 8, 2022. Yes, another easy morning, and I thank God. I thank my angels. I start my day, 1:34 p.m. I went to the cemetery, and I needed to go today for some reason. I felt good when I was done and I left to go home. I know my God and my angels are watching over me, and I love you. December 9th, 2022. Yes, another great day for waking me up. And as you know, today is the day of the date for the timeline to end until daily entries are entered and for a conclusion. As of right now, the here and now, I have no more story to tell. God and my angels has helped me get through this storyline, telling it on the podcast and I'm so very grateful. Now, my gosh, I pray that one right person in this great state of Oklahoma does the right thing for Megan and the people of this state who may be involved. I pray they will fix what needs to be done. Thank you, God. Amen. My gosh, I'm ever so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for listening until the end. I look forward to updating you also as entries are entered and a conclusion is entered. And one more thing, someone please help. If you have comments or questions, you can reach Emily McMahon, lowercase letters, EMILY, McMahon, MCMAHAN 208 at gmail.com. I sincerely thank you for listening and be kind with your words. It really does help.